Alright, y'all. It's your boy Achilles 2017. We're back. Play a little bit of Fortnite for you. Gonna get started. I know I need to get a haircut. I got a potential job lined up. Hopefully it's better all the way around. And now we can go. Really what I think about, like, in terms of business and jewelry, or just that and the third. I talked to a jeweler the other day who's been doing it for like last 45 years, and had some questions, just that and the third, or show my knowledge of certain stuff to make sure I don't make myself look bad in a sense, and also give, I guess, an insight. So it'll be a good gauge of both of us, in terms of like skill or whatnot. Honestly, he's done the hands-on side. He does pretty much stuff. He knows the stuff. He's been doing it. New York, 47th Street. Just that, I made my way down. We talked for like 40 minutes. I think that was a good 40 minutes. And, I'm going to take his advice. I'm going to still go back to school. After I'm done with this, and I'm gonna go to a new school. Nothing wrong with the school that I'm at, but like a bench jeweler thing. I like California, but in terms of how everything is, and then like you just basically go. How can I put it this way? California's expensive, and they have like a bench jewelry school in Tennessee. It's called New Approach, and that's where basically the man I talked to the other day where he goes to school at. So I would be open to giving it a chance. So here we go. He's been known for 45 years, and he keeps going back because, with jewelry and certain stuff like that, and latest technologies, and how pretty much everything, the landscape of jewelry is changing, you still want to keep your skills up to date. Not saying they aren't, but even a gemologist may have a hard time to a degree with certain things. I know, can't wait to get back to work too, so I can get my first watch, and will not be a Rolex, I'll tell you that. Oh my God. I was watching this jeweler earlier. He was talking about like, how can I put it this way? He was talking about how the jewelers and other people, he deals with like all the stones, his own business. And it's the landscape of how people are going and saying that diamonds are SI or whatnot. Well, VS, like people are paying for SI, and then the jewelers not doing their due diligence, and you go from there. To me, also, the guy basically said, like, I told him about the parcels and then the paper. When people are buying diamonds, like a jeweler's buying diamonds, right? I know people say VVS hit different or stuff like that. You're not gonna know where a diamond is VVS unless you're under a microscope. A diamond is the same, pretty much. The only difference is the actual stuff. Like you have like an 8-pointer or something like that, or 92 carats of diamonds on a Cuban. You're not going to have time to individually. Oh my God! I basically stuttered. Individually, go and put it under a microscope. That's going to take a lot of time. You have to go due diligence though. Because like the parcel papers and certain stuff like that, and then you use like a blue sheet. Then you use this little white little thing, and you basically shine a light on it, and you tilt it back and forth to see what the color is, if it has any fluorescence. And normally too, a lot of people don't give people the breakdown whether or not a diamond has any fluorescence. You should tell people about that. I gotta see what this job is offering, but you know, honestly, because I need money, I'm gonna buy it for cash right now. I'm gonna accept it. They offered me the job, and I've been out. Dumbass. Wax on, wax off. This is for this gas, yeah. Alright, let me get back to what I'm saying about like business. Damn. Right. Let's see. I know a lot of people talking about watches and landscape. Like, I know someone's talking about a watch market. And I watch a lot of people, and I would disagree with everything, for the most part, to a degree. Watches and stuff, it's a speculative market, just like everything. Like, the housing market is speculative, too. Because, you know, people can buy a house today and the interest rate, and then they'll be screwed, and then lock in. Like if you are buying a house for like what, $650, home $650, you put 20% down, and then like 10%. That's not a deal. go. Increase while sprinting. Yikes. We do need a shotgun though. Alright. I don't feel like I don't really even play Fortnite like that, but we'll get back to jewelry. But like I said, with the watch market, a lot of people keep like top rated brands, like stuff people know. There's not really that many watch brands in the traditional sense where I'm from that are out here. Like we might have Grand Seiko. But why would I spend $11,000 on a Grand Seiko? It's just not happening. With everything else in regards to the watch market, it's very, how can I say, hidden in a sense. Like, for instance, I know people talking about the 116508, the Mayor, how that was up to 115. That watch is not at 115 anymore. Someone said it was at like what, 82,000. That's a little bit of cap. If anything, that watch went down to like what, 62, and right now it's like at 71. So at the end of the day, just because it's not about what you pay for anything, it's about the market, what the market can bear. And then two, at the end of the day, anybody can get liquidated on. Like, you know, people get greedy, whatnot. You're not waiting for a watch to appreciate. I mean, do watches appreciate faster than stock average? Well, basically, an article would like to basically suggest so. But honestly, I'm saying both of them are pretty much a speculative market. Like, if you had to think about it, a home today at these interest rates is not a good idea for whatever reason. You're paying more money for a house. But housing security is I guess a huge thing in the United States. So while we at it, you know, that's something people need to think about. Like, you know, big markets like Texas, people say that Texas, housing market is, you can get more home in Texas. For a while, Georgia was the actual, how can I say, bargain place to go to, in terms of buying a house. Like, you can get, like, what, a 4,000 square foot home in Texas for what, like, back then for like probably $400,000 for that home. Today would probably worth $1 million. Same thing. It's the same principle, and then the interest rates were low. So I feel like in every market, there's going to be a great reset. People are going to make money, and people are going to lose money. That's just the way the world works. You have to kind of get used to that in a sense, and then make your judgments and decisions based off that. And you know, you just have to be smart with your money and then your finances and your time. Because if you overly invest, like let's say someone's getting ready to buy a house, they feel like they have to pull the trigger on it. It's not necessarily a good thing to do. It just depends. Because at the end of the day, it's not something that you want to necessarily, like, for instance, like a watch. I know a guy basically, he did do the right thing. I will give him that. A guy tried to basically trade in a gold Patek. I don't remember the reference number, but he tried to get a gold Yachtmaster. He tried to trade in a rare Patek Nautilus, and his name was Buckley, John Buckley. The guy came in, because of the crown of his watch, he put it in a safety deposit box. He had an issue with the crown fell out of the watch. And I mean, a lot of places, they do have quality control issues, so we're not going to try to excuse that. But the one thing we will do is we will suggest that, in a sense, get your watch service Stuff's not working. Please get it serviced by the actual people. And the guy had said that, you know, he got tired of dishing out the money for a paddock, and then this issue would still be there, which I can understand. He got it out of the safety deposit box, and what did he do? He pulled the crown out to basically set the time and stuff like that, and you know, the crown fell out again, and he went to the dude and say he basically want to offset the loss. And the yacht master, the full gold, that wasn't worth any money. That's like $23,000. So he wanted the cash on top, and the guy said no. You need to keep the paddock, which I would agree with that. That was honest. He was looking out for the guy, so that was one of the things that that he did do. Can't believe I took that much damage. Save the world. I would play Save the World, but Save the World's not it. That's a blow. They did that intentionally, bro. This game. And I was doing good. Let's see. Another thing I still think about in terms of like, jewelry in a sense is that, like, I understand components and aspects of business. Like, for instance, jewelers have markups, and that's understandable. And they have custom orders, they have this, that, and third. And there's obviously tiers. So when it comes to jewelers, and the thing is not about overpaying, it's about price, and then two, the product. Like if a Cuban link, everybody who makes a Cuban link is not really good at that. But let me explain to you why that. There's a thing that we jewelers use. It's called a millimeter gauge or whatnot. And if you don't know how to use it, I mean, you get a little bit of training with it. I mean, you can use it for other stuff like measuring the space between a prong and a diamond, and then the shank. That's what you can use it for. Secondly, when you just go through things and you basically check pretty much the diamonds and stuff, you gotta make sure that everything's proportionate with the chain, like settings, stones, everything, and then also to make sure that the links, there's not too much space within the links. Because if it's that, then it's basically a quality control issue and the whole project or whatnot. I know people, when you basically do a Cuban link, you have to get basically a gold wire, wrap it around a actual, let's say what it is. It's like, how can I put? It's like a steel piece of thing, and then you just wrap it around, and then you get this little saw or whatnot, and then you put it together. But if you don't have the gold, you basically melt the stuff down, and then basically make it into a actual thin piece of actual, like a rod. You run it through, make sure it's sturdy enough. You pull the thing through, make sure that the thing is good and set. Then you go and wrap it around this little pole, and then you cut the stuff, and then you basically use some type of green or black, how can I put it? It's like tar stickiness, and you put it on the thing, put it on the Cuban link, and go from there, and you make sure the links are tight, and use a wrench, and then you go and file the stuff down, and then you have a quality control thing, you polish it, and you make sure it's finished, and then you have the product. Next, when people are talking about Cubans, I know people are talking about 10 or 14 karat. Sometimes with 10 karat gold, people getting ripped off, especially with the chains. Like something, the spot price, and you have a markup. I understand that you have rent, you have employees to pay, and you have all this stuff. But sometimes, like I know, I'm not gonna necessarily call anybody out. Like like a kilo chain is what. But diamonds, I understand diamonds have a price. Fair price is the markup. People are getting paid. Like from start to finish, jewelry is a little bit more extensive to make. From start to finish, you have the concept, you have the polishers, you have the finishers, and you have everything. You have people doing the design, the CAD work. You have wax. There's just so many components and aspects about jewelry in a sense that people don't know about. And I watch these videos, and I do that. I like it on that, and yeah. we go from there. Next, we're talking about jewelry and everything about watches too. We can go and talk about, like, for instance, the most popular models of watch. Like, for instance, the Datejust of Rolex. You know, maybe I might get one day, but I don't think it will be my first watch. The Datejust is pretty solid though. I'm not a big fan of Rolex. I'm pretty sure people know that by now. They make decent watches. I'll give them that. They have it's safe. I'll put it that way. It's safe. I don't like the Wimbledon. I like the mint green dial. The only thing about Rolex I don't like is that Cyclops lens. That Cyclops lens, in my honest opinion, is just kind of a turn off to a degree. I mean, the Sky Dweller, I kind of like it a little bit, but again, that's Rolex's most complicated piece, and that 1908, that's not really a good one. And I know people ask people's opinion, like, do you think you could sell certain stuff? I mean, yeah, I probably can sell it, but I mean, it's hard not to get your personal opinion. Now, for me, if I had to be honest with people, it's better to buy some watches pre-owned than it is buy it new. And some cars, it's better to buy it new than pre-owned. It's just vice versa. You know, you got to choose. But for the most part, it's usually how can I put it this way? It is usually pre-owned. Because, like, for instance, when you have a pre-owned car, you already assume that, you know, it's been driven. The only thing you got to be worried about is if someone tells you that the Carfax and everything is not working, or the car's not working. Because I watched this guy in San Diego. He what did he do? He basically he saved $57,000, and he bought a car from the car dealership, and the person ripped him off. And that's not cool under any circumstance for the guy to rip him off. And the guy's out $57,000. He has a lawsuit on the way. He tried to get his money back, and I guess the band blocked him or whatnot. That's dirtbag material. I'm glad he's at least trying to get some arbitration, because the lawyer seemed like he's trying to help. But $57,000 on a car, my man, that's just steep. You're not gonna get that money back. I'm not saying even with a watch, you know, that's even a good investment, but a car, you're pretty much gonna lose money in the monthly payments, or if you paid for that out of pocket, that was just stupid. That's just my opinion. And again, when you deal with, for instance, unethical people in a traditional sense, especially in business, and people don't basically tell you the risk of certain stuff, then that's kind of problematic. Because at the end of the day, I would say, if you can't get 85% of your money back, or something like that, or you can't see the value in it, someone didn't tell you the risk up front, then what type of business or salesperson would somebody be? You know, to not basically go and basically tell people the risk. Now, the next part and component is how often do people go and do their own due diligence and their own homework about a particular thing. Like, for instance, I know there's this guy out here that, what did he do? He made this new watch. I watch what the guy does on social media. Seems like a cool guy. But he's trying to debut his watch, and it has, like, what? I think he's a diamond dealer. He's been doing this stuff since he was, like, 9 years old, working around his dad's shop or whatnot. He created a watch. It's been on Vertigo in 1983. It has lots of diamonds on it. It has basically a Rolex movement in it, a 3135. It's called the AH-17. Well, my official thoughts on that is, I mean, I'm not really that much of a diamond fan in terms of actually on a watch, unless it's like pave or, a little small setting. That's just my thing. Now, the second part is with business, from standpoint, you gotta find a clientele. I can't say something is hot. I just can't do that. I'm not hating on it or anything like that. I just can't say that watch is hot. And it's a waste of diamonds and a waste of money. I mean, a lot of places, for the most part, you can't spend or command a premium or for something that isn't there. Like, if people are demanding, how can I put it this way, a premium, you can't see it. You really can't see it. Like, for instance, you go and spend like $75 on some food, right? And it wasn't good, like it's a chain place. Like, let's say you go out and you spend, like I said, $75. You go to a place that's renowned for steaks or whatnot, and the steak and everything is not done. It's still chewing or still mooing, mooing back at you. You're pretty much out of $75. You burnt stuff. You burned your money, and they burned or didn't cook your steak. That's not good. And for the most part, when you think about it, you have to be willing to decide whether or not you're going to patronize. I'm not saying the guy's watch. I would use an analogy, make it something like similar for people to kind of get. You can't command the premium. That's what I'm trying to say. You can have press, spotlight, this, that, and third. You can't allocate monies or trying to have a grand opening. I'm not hating on it. I like the guy's business and how it works, and he knows the game. He said he's not really making that much money, which I would say I would disagree on with him. He's not making money. He's making money. I'm not counting his money. But like he said, for instance, if someone goes to the boutique at RM, they are having to basically, he'd say he's not making the money. He has to hope that it goes up and make his percentage, which I agree. Everybody has to make their percentage, but at the end of the day, when you buy a watch, you basically can't go and resell it. Like, whenever you basically buy like an AP, they're not going to give you the card. Like, they're not going to give you the warranty card for like a year. And that I do know. That's a fact. They're not going to give you the card for a year to make sure you can't sell it, to make sure it change hands, because they can go on the website and see who had it. If you were to go to RM and someone just basically sells it, flips the watch, they want people to keep the watch for a long time. And like the guy said, I watched on YouTube, Khaled, he basically said when people want to get watches and they can't get them, basically someone said it's unethical. I would agree to disagree with that. And it's just I gotta understand from the business standpoint. It is unethical, but like if someone is dying for a particular Rolex model or let's say a Patek, and they want it, I mean, someone said, you have to go and basically say you have the right to, you should basically get mad and extremely mad, like rage about, someone should not have the ability to do that, but I have to understand that, that's someone's business, and that's basically devaluing the brand itself. When, end of the day, it's people's money. They have to allocate the stuff for who's in the best interest of the brand. Like Khaled said that it's about the profile of a person. They make sure the person's not a flipper. They get your CV. They get your your resume. They answer questions. They'll basically sell you. You have entry-level watches. You buy it. The stuff that's not hot. They're showing your interest by buying the models that are not popular. You might lose money on it, but you're at least going up the list. And I mean, I kind of have a problem with that because it's not transparent. I definitely have a problem with it because it's not transparent. You're basically losing people money. Like this guy, he basically sued a jeweler in San Francisco called Streve Comp and Low. They're a popular jeweler, but they've been in some hot water in the last few years. They definitely have been in hot water for the last few years. Like, for instance, not only with that, the person suing the person for $500,000 for basic damages and buying paddocks that he didn't want. Like, I don't know, I think he bought a Calatrava. He bought like some quartz. He bought a quartz women aquanaut for like $39,000. It was like a white gold aquanaut with diamonds all around the bezel of the watch. That was like $39,000. He bought some more watches. And Shrew Crump and Low basically knew that he had how can I put it this way? What did he have? Forgot my train of thought. They basically knew that he had the money to spend, but he was basically almost guaranteed a promise that if he spent this amount, no jeweler or place knows the absolute allocation they're going to get. They know it to the very last minute, and they have a priority list. Like, if someone wanted to buy a Daytona right now from Rolex or the authorized dealer, they're not going to be able to get it. Unless you work for the actual, basically the jeweler or the company that's authorized Rolex, you may have a say-so. You might get a few dibs, and then, like, if I knew somebody wanted a Rolex to a degree, I would see what, like, a company says or, you know, a boss says, and I would try to, at least to a certain extent, try to at least advocate for them to get it if I know it's something they really wanted. Like, let's say someone complained about, like, not getting let's say, it's not even necessarily a date just. It was a Submariner that they wanted. And, you know, Submariner is, you know, it's alright. The Explorer, I'm not a fan of it. The Air King is trash. That watch looks terrible. You know, I have to be honest with myself. I'm not going to lie to myself to try to get ahead or advance. That's something I just don't do. But I'll give my honest opinion. But now, if it's something that someone likes, happy for them. That's a great purchase. But if I know it's something like it's going to go down and make people lose money, like, if anything, you can lose money on anything. That's given. You can lose money on anything. But as far as anything else, like, you know, pretty much what it is from a standpoint of people buying stuff, like, if someone said that, like, an AP, we're going to talk about AP now. AP can lose money. Like, the people talking about the green chronograph 50th anniversary edition, that's not necessarily the best, like, jewelry or whatnot. People try to basically match it to a suit or something like that. A person who went and pulled the trigger on that lost like they lost like $100,000 when they did that, because it came up like, I think, like $250, and the following week that jump was like $150. And yeah, they lost money. And when you lose money like that, that's not a good. Oh, yo. We'll just leave, because that was just terrible and toxic. In terms of like business and business sense too, especially like with companies and the jewelry, they should not tell people, oh, we're gonna have a watch, because they have no idea until the last minute, and they're allocated a certain specific pieces. They can't tell people what type of watches coming in. Like Rolex, they'll send it. They'll at last minute they'll know. And then basically, like I said, the profile of people has to go to the end consumer. Like Rolex, I do know that Rolex basically has people, the authorized retailers, take off the stickers and stuff like that. And Rolex sometimes sends in actual people checking to make sure the actual authorized retailers aren't flipping and sending it to gray market people. To me, Rolex is, it's attainable. It's attainable luxury, but now some Rolexes aren't attainable luxury. I'm just sorry as I can be. Like, why are you spending, let's say, they have this Sky Dweller. I know Drake has one. They said it was $1 million. And it was up to $1 million. It went down like 750, 500. And then the other day I followed this watch, people who trade watches for a living. It's down to 250. Now you tell me who's losing at the end of the day. It's the people who get greedy, and it's the people who go and buy into that, or it's going to go up. Everything is fundamentally, to a degree, a scam. If you really think about it, I hate to think like that, but to a certain degree, everything has a potential to be a scam. It doesn't matter if we're talking about crypto. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the housing market. It could be a scam. And why is it a scam? Like, at the end of the day, you don't have resets. You're not going to see it happening. No one's going to see it happening. And then, again, to me, it's not about who has the biggest inventory. It's not about who has the biggest pocketbook or who's doing all this type of stuff. You buy wrong. You can only write off losses for so long before you start bleeding. And that's not something that you want to do from the start to finish. Like, if you had to ask me, too, in terms of the watch business and how people do certain stuff, like, Omega is not necessarily a bad watch company. Again, it's affordable luxury. Omega goes from anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, but does it retain its value? No, it doesn't, in my opinion. My honest opinion, it doesn't. Like, they have a Speedmaster, they have a Seamaster, I'm familiar with the actual line. But anything outside of that, I know the prices, but it doesn't keep its value. Same thing with Breitling. Breitling does not make good watches, and that's just my personal opinion. And Breitling is better pre-owned than new. That's just my personal opinion. I know someone probably like, you work for a company, that's a loss of a sale. I feel like you should tell people with anything the associated risks instead of like trying to make money. It's just not cool. Like, you buy a car, like a Tesla. Tesla doesn't make cars really that bad or that good. I kind of like Tesla to a degree, but I don't like, just the fact that everybody's driving them. That's not cool. Two, for instance, like the market. Tesla, for a while, was basically where I live at, not necessarily that big, but it's become big and everybody has a Tesla now. What in the hell? What time is it? 10:33. I might play for a little longer and drink myself some water. I'm a little bit dehydrated, y'all. Also, in terms of business, too, like, if anybody has to ask me, too, especially with like the brands people sell. Do you know about the history of Rolex? Rolex is not Swiss, it's British. It was 1905. That's a fact. It moved to basically Switzerland for tax purposes and incentives, and basically to get some investments. Now, Patek, Vacheron, Constantin, they basically and AP are the three oldest watch brands, the Holy Trinity. Vacheron, to me, makes the best dress watches, in my opinion. They're not popular. They're popular in Europe. They have a nice Maltese cross. I know if I get me a job, I know I'm getting me a Vacheron. Gotta get me a Vacheron. The bracelet is beautiful. You get a leather strap. You can change the straps, and you go from there. It has an easy pull, basically a pull release for the mechanism. They change the straps easily, so it's kind of user friendly. With Rolex and stuff like that, you gotta use the actual pin. You gotta take the links out. With other stuff like that, with the metal bracelet, you have to take it out. But as far as, the quick release system, you're gonna throw in a leather strap or a rubber strap with Vacheron. That's the easiest thing. RM is hard to do. That's a fact. That's a guaranteed fact. Because with RM, you still have to use a doggone pin or whatnot. No, you have to use a pin, the little thing. You can only use a certain screwdriver. You have to take everything apart, like the screws out of there. You better pray to God that don't get lost. The straps are expensive, and then you gotta hope the crown and stuff, it doesn't fall out, because you're gonna be looking at a $5,000 service, basically servicing. And you pull the crown out, the whole watch is done. And the crown doesn't work, and you need to wind it, it'll be done for. Yeah. So with RM, I say RM is kind of like my favorite brand to a degree, in terms of I like the RM6702. And yeah. The RM6702 is a lightweight watch. The RM6701, the rose gold with the pave, that'll be my dream watch. But you gotta start small and graduate to the big boys. Wow. But you do have to start small and eventually go there. Now, if someone had to ask me, I watched this guy. He basically has a watch that he basically goes and review. I watched this video today and I agree with him. Cartier is not necessarily a watch brand. Like, if someone had to ask about Cartier, Cartier is not a watch brand in my opinion. When I think of Cartier, I think of them as I would say a micro brand in the watch, and even though they got the Cartier, let's say Cartier crash, Jay-Z wore that, the price went up like that, I still wouldn't even buy it. Call me crazy, but I wouldn't even buy it. I won't touch that because it's not me. It's speculative, and when you're in a watch business or any type of business for that matter, you can't always follow trends because that can basically be the demise of your business. Always following trends and not questioning things for what it is. And it's not about how much inventory people got. It's really not. Like, I watched this guy, woven timepieces and the Navarro brothers. They split up. I feel like that was sad in my opinion. But you know, I feel like with business, I don't think that the thing went sour. I think they had two different visions of how they want to conduct business. And for lack of better words, things kind of got, you know, I wouldn't say heated, but then people want two different things and you just can't stay and try to operate a business. And then, you know, I think they did say that they were moving to Frisco, Texas, and then the other brother, not other brother, the Bell brothers, they were moving to a new spot in Dallas, I think, or something like that, or they were moving to a new place, a more upscale place or whatnot. I'll probably have to watch the video again. Yeah, I think for the most part with business and how you view it, it's going to be one of those things where, you know, you have to analyze decisions, and then like when you're in a partnership, you know, you have to be bought out. We're in a partnership that has to be able to dissolve. Like, you know, you have to go through arbitration, you have to go through a process, and then you got to pay people out of their share. So if you had a good business idea and you brought someone in, if two people already have an idea, they can just buy you out. They don't have to have your opinion. They can just basically pay you your share and you're basically done. You're basically done with business. Even if it may have been your idea, that's something to think about with business. You get in a partnership or something like that, you may have saw some profits, you may have saw something like that, and unfortunately, you know, when you do business or certain stuff like that, it's important to always talk, and I mean, always try to resolve stuff, like, you know, to the best of your abilities, you know, keep yourself level-headed. Listen to other parties, have a neutral party, and have some type of arbitration. You go from there. It's just a good rule of thumb in my opinion. And especially with doing business is going to be changed. Like, the landscape is going to change. Like, let's say if someone do a business deal or something like that, and, you know, I don't know, just a new venture or something like that, you should have some concerns to a degree. Like, if someone wants to expand to a new spot, and, you know, business could have been good, but, you know, for a while, I mean, you have setbacks. You know, you might not be able to break even. If you break even and then you made a little bit of, like, let's say your profitability 1 month goes up by like 40%. You can't always go and say, you know, if it was 40% for like 3 months and the average thing was maybe like 10%, that's still huge. And that's a huge big jump. But you can't make a decision based off if the metrics aren't right. And then also, too, what type of incentives are you getting in terms of, like, by making that adjustment and making, you know, that type of move? What data are you actually looking at to ensure that that's a good move? Because you can't do that, in my opinion. Because overhead is one thing that's going to take a business out. Like, if you go in a building, let's say someone's rent was like, how can I put it this way? For a business, let's say it was like $8,000 a month, and a place was possibly making like, let's say $75,000, and they had employees there, and after everything, the operating expenses was like, let's say $25,000. After employees are taken care of, and miscellaneous, 75 to operating expenses like $25,000. After employees are paid, you're talking about, let's say, on the cheap, on the skinny, let's say someone's making $4,000 a month from the business standpoint, and you have 4 employees. Each employee is getting that. you're pretty much down. So I can understand certain stuff from a business standpoint. You have to make business decisions too, but at the same time, it's not always good to put your eggs in one basket. Like, it's really not that good. So you're looking at, well, let's say six employees. You're pretty much down to 24,000, and you haven't even paid yourself to a degree. And then let's say you get sued or something like that. Now you got, like, you know, a lawyer, you got legal fees. So that money can dwindle real fast. You have to get real with the realities of, how can I put it this way? With the realities of business and I guess ethics, and then also too, by moving into a bigger space, you're not going to see profit. Like, I know the general rule of thumb with business, the first few years of business, you're not going to really be able to break even. You know, you might break even a few months. You might, I guess, have some type of sense of things are going to get better. You see metrics. Expected growth is not expected growth. You have a variety of factors, like, in terms of business. Like, when you're talking about business, you have unforeseen circumstances, like, for instance, like a bar. Let's say a bar is making, let's say, $80,000 in 2 weeks. Let's say something catastrophic happens or whatnot, or the worst happens, you know, with alcohol and beverages and this, that, and the third. You know, places have to pay a pretty steep thing in the parameters of alcohol license, you know, on premise and off premise. We have to have different permits for that. So let's say the permit and certain stuff like that and all the different, let's say, stipulations in that, a place might have to pay like $150. So in order to incur all that type of stuff and they have the inventory, they lose their liquor license or whatnot, they're going out of business. Unfortunately, that can happen. Like, you know, the realities of certain stuff have to set in for people. That business, everything is all peaches, sunshine, and cream. You know, you have to be real about, you know, the different things. Even unforeseen circumstances like, you know, floods, you know, riots, people, business and stuff getting breaking into. Yeah. If you basically know that, like, about business, and then you go from there, you're going to have to make decisions, at least tough decisions about how you can operate, you know, the prices for food and drink and beverage. I mean, alcohol is overpriced. Drinking itself has a cost to it. It's not always good to do. It's not good to go out all the time because you overspend money. And then, too, it's not a healthy habit to pick up. Everybody has a vice. You know, you want to make sure you don't stuff. You want to make sure you're done with stuff healthfully. Like, I see this jeweler out here, him and Johnny Dane got into it and they went their separate ways or whatnot. And for lack of better words, how can I put it this way? Their relationship went sour. And did it have to go sour? I would say it didn't have to, but I feel like both of them were out of line in terms of what they were saying and what they were doing to each other. And that's not a good thing to do. That's not a good thing to do. I don't think it can be resolved or whatnot, but the guy, he was pretty high up, and I definitely agree with him. He didn't steal from Johnny. He didn't do anything. I think the guy just kind of got tired of kind of dealing with Johnny in a sense. He was correct. How can I put it this way? Both of them were out of pocket, but the guy was saying $310,000 was not a lot of money for what he was doing. And he should have made more than that. He never stole from Johnny, but he was his right-hand man. Other people had gone and left and took certain stuff, but I definitely would agree with him. He shouldn't have been picking up stuff by himself without no security guard. That's just unacceptable. Like $500,000. No bodyguard or no security. And you're in Houston. You flying out different places, and then he said Johnny had a big house and this, that, and the third. He got commissions or whatnot. But he was making $310,000. I mean, I think he had like what? The guy, Gio, had like what? 5. I think he had like maybe 3 kids. Or I don't know how many kids he got now. He had like kids and sort of stuff. He said, you know, I got kids. You know, it's tough. The thing is, with $310,000, if you went and out here and bought a car, or you bought like, you know, a $60,000 car, and payments and then interest, that's not a good investment. You need to save that money and stack that money. And you never went and did business behind Johnny's back. I mean, loyalty is important, but loyalty, I mean, both people got to be in check. Let's be honest here. Both people got to be in check. To me, there has to be a strong level of congruence for both people. Both people have to be committed to actually going and resolving the differences, and there has to be a strong level of, you know, some type of reciprocation that, you know, we're going to get through this. We're going to solve our disputes or not in a manner in front of a neutral third party or whatnot. It shouldn't have got to where it got to, but it is what it is. Gio's doing this thing. He got celebrity clients. He was saying that Johnny was using lab-grown diamonds and his stuff. People were paying for natural stuff, and that'd be a huge percentage of lab-grown diamonds in there. And you want to know what my thought of lab-grown? Someone said that lab-grown is a diamond. It is a diamond. But you can't go say lab-grown is a natural one. It's not. And a lab-grown can't pass as a natural. You know, the thing with the pewters and certain stuff like that, the metals, you can't go say something is, it has to be precise. Like, because I do jewelry and this type of thing, we know that, like, basically thirds basically refers to, like, 33 pointer means, basically a third of a carat, and it goes all the way up to, like, 0.375. Anything past that, you know, you can't call it a third. Like, if it's 0.376, I can't call it a third anymore. If I explained it to someone, like, in the trade or something like that, I can't go and do that. You literally cannot do that. And again, I feel like, you know, just having a code of ethics or just like, you know, some type of, I guess, internally guiding thing, you have to be able to explain that to people, explain that to yourself, and then not get caught up with, I guess, kind of believing a lie, in a sense, about, like, business. Because, like, again, everything's not sunshine, peaches and cream, like people make it seem. Down. But yeah, everything's not sunshine, peaches and cream for like business. How people said that, like, you know, for instance, like with Johnny, I saw him conduct business with somebody for like what was it? Sauce Walker for 500,000. That was a ripoff. A kilo of a gold chain, what? And a labor, I understand labor. I didn't even think the Sauce Walker got a pin. I don't know how many kilos it was, but that was not no, I feel like the rule of thumb, the guy did say that. I did watch one of another jeweler's thing. The profit margin is 2.5 times. So if you see something and you assume it's 2.5 times. So, like, if you see a pendant and you see it's $180, it's like 14 karat gold. It possibly costs them like $60 to make. But then again, it may not even cost them $60 because at the end of the day, they got to go to someone to do CAD. They have to pay money for the actual jewelers, in a sense. They have to pay money over spot. They have to pay for the wax, get the stuff done. Basically pay someone to basically polish it. Because most places, they're not doing their own stuff in-house. They'll basically get the work done, outsource it. There we go. They'll outsource it and then have the people do the work bit by bit and have people's feedback. And they go from there. Now, custom jewelry, in my opinion, like a lot of stuff's become to a point where I can honestly say it's not doing anybody any good, really, for the most part, in terms of business-wise. By doing custom jewelry, like if you were to see, I guess, let's say a Jesus head, no one can try to explain to me why a 14 karat Jesus head with diamonds, 6 karat diamonds on there, talking about VVS, that's not $10,000. I just can't see it. And depending on how many grams and how much it weighs and the purity, people can stamp stuff wrong, and that can cost people money. People can cast jewelry wrong and cost people money, and then the customer's paying for it. And, you know, some could be marked 10 karat gold and can really be 14 karat. I mean, people got lucky with that. I'll be happy for someone to get lucky, for something to be stamped wrong, have a small win off that. I'm not gonna be mad about that. Because honestly, I feel like it's just balancing itself out, like scamming is really balancing itself out. Again, like, you know, you should never overpay. Someone should explain to you why certain stuff is not a bargain right now. And a lot of the times, a lot of people are not gonna do that. A lot of people are not going to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of the times that happens in multiple businesses, multiple ventures, and certain stuff like that. A lot of people are not going to tell you to hold out on a buy or hold out on a purchase. I mean, sometimes you got blowout deals. Like, for instance, there was this one place that where I lived near. They had like an Office Max, and basically they went out of business fast, and didn't nobody see it. But I know that they had too much space. And I questioned a lot of businesses just being open. And well, you know that certain businesses have been open for a long, long time, to a degree, and like how the doors staying open, because you're not getting that much foot traffic. And a lot of people, they need to be honest with themselves and come to grips with reality with that. Is that business is a ever-changing, evolving cycle. You're not going to be able to foresee what you call a dramatic shift like malls. Malls are going by the wayside, and there's nothing that me or anybody can do, customer-wise, can do about that. And when people are not necessarily even going there and doing that, in terms of business-wise, evaluating the ever-evolving landscape and economic market, you'll make decisions based off of emotion rather than rationality. And I mean, that's never a good idea to do. In regards to multiple aspects, you don't make decisions based off of, you should at least have some type of emotional regulation. Emotion is not necessarily always good to feel. Rationality has to go over, how do I put it this way? Rationality has to go over emotion. If you pull the trigger on, like, you know, let's say someone said an RM right now. RMs go down. You know, people look at you sideways for saying the RM is going down, but RM is going down. A lot of watch. RM goes down like the RM 35 Nadal was like $800,000. And for what it's worth, someone said people can't afford RM. Yeah, people can't afford RM. That is true. The average person cannot afford an RM. And it's not necessarily about how much money or whatnot people make a year. I mean, it is, but a lot of people are not going to be able to afford RM. I definitely agree with that. And by having an RM on, I mean, it's a status symbol, it's a wealth symbol. Is it a classy purchase? I would say yes and no. It depends on how someone got it, obtained it. And then two, it doesn't matter how it does a person view the whole watch market in a sense. And then also two, are people able to see why, like, you know, other brands exist? We can't just go up here and 100% say that RM is the number one watch brand in the world. I mean, to me, are they the number one watch brand in the world? To me, they should be respected as one of the top watch brands because it's actually based off of facts. They basically started off as a small brand in 2001. Richard Mille was like, what, 50 when he basically came up with the idea. He worked for a lot of firms, Mabusin. He basically worked for Seiko, creating the movements and certain stuff like that, being like a watchmaker, working for a firm. Mabusin is not necessarily a actual watch company. There's Fine, French company. They have a place out in New York. I think it's near 47th Street. They have a place. They're not popular. Richard Mille got tired of the bull, I guess it comes with working for people. To a degree, they basically had a tourbillon or whatnot, and then Richard Mille got frustrated with that, and he just said, I want it to be done with that. And it's a tourbillon. You can pick it up. I think it's like $20,000. It's like $20,000 for a tourbillon. I feel like that's a good price for a tourbillon. But the thing is, are there other things that are more important to save $20,000 or spend it on? I think some land will be a whole lot better than buying the actual watch. That's something to think about. And then too, you know, I feel like working it's important and imperative for you to it's important and imperative to, like, you know, do due diligence in multiple aspects of like what you're buying, what you're purchasing, or even if people are like tell you. I understand people trying to make money, but you know, you're not gonna make a bag, like a tremendous bag, off of me at my expense. Like for instance, like, you know, with an RM, you get some good buys. I know people are trying to demand a premium for RM, like let's say 75, like the RM16 should realistically be around $75,000. But honestly, you see a fluctuation on the actual watch. It could be 95,000. I seen one with diamonds on it or whatnot. An RM16 is not being made anymore, so it's discontinued. It's RM's entry-level watch. Would I ever get an RM16? I wouldn't necessarily even buy it. I'll probably trade into it. If that makes any sense. To me, it'd be a whole lot better to trade in or something. You like it, keep it, and then whenever you're ready to move on from it, it's good. To me, I want to have a fire watch collection. That's just something that I want. But I still think the micro brands are important. But again, I don't think that, spending $1,000 on a watch. I mean, you should have beater watches by all means intensive and all intents and purposes. You should not, a $5,000 watch to me has a lot of wearability to that of something more expensive, a $10,000, $11,000 watch. It depends on what you view it as. It depends on what you view it as. Like, for instance, a Panerai, people don't necessarily wear Panerais like that. Panerais can go for like $74,000, and you can pick it up for $20,000. But even with $20,000, to pick it up at that point, you can almost but guarantee your money's gone. Even at the $20,000, let's say, price range. With the Panerai Navy SEAL, the watch that's the only watch that's technically going up. But again, that's not an everyday thing, everyday occurrence. This Panerai is kind of one of those rare brands in a sense. They don't do that much as a company. They just pretty much repeat and do the same thing again and again, much just like Rolex. But I digress. Secondly, in terms of like business aspects and business components, I don't believe that for the foreseeable future, a lot of these companies are going to be able to get away with the same old tire designs they've been doing, whether it be cars, whether it be watches, or whether it be homes even. Because if you have a prefab home, every home looks the same. What's that doing to the market? They want to have the same shell of a car, shell of a house. When you do that, anything there's too much of, there's going to have to be a reset. Because the premium and everything about it, they have to create a market for it. They have to create a demand. But sometimes with these pieces or these properties, there's no demand for it. Again, these people are left holding the bag. I mean, sometimes people need to hold the bag for certain stuff. You can't gouge people and expect people to pay it because they know you pay it. That's just not cool at all, too. Like with eggs going up to like $14, you shouldn't be paying $14 for no eggs. But they know they can get it, and they're going to do it. The gas pump. By gas being $1.76, shoot. Alright. So yeah, with the premiums and certain stuff like that with Rolex and how I view things, nah. To me, like too, the premium for watches and the premium for cars. I mean, sometimes they shouldn't exist. And to me, rightfully so, that business and everything in between, business is not business. Passing off at expense to people, I mean, isn't always cool. Especially if people don't know what the price incurred, how it got to that, associated risk. Like if you spent, let's say $6,000 on a Chevy Malibu, for instance, and someone didn't tell you from the get-go, this car has had a recall, something like on that, or there's been some failed. How can I put it? Some definitely, I say recalls, like especially with the airbag or pretty much power steering. Someone that tell you that, I don't see how someone could sleep at night knowing that they sold someone some crap. That's not cool. They sold someone some crap. This is not the cost of doing business. This is just some crap that someone thought was acceptable. And again, that's neither here nor there. But I mean, again, you got to kind of keep stuff in check in terms of like what's acceptable, what's not. But it is what it is. As long as people make it right, you keep your attitude and emotions in check. I mean, you're good. Oh my God, man. Another aspect and component when I think about business too is just the general, like, I would say landscape this time around. I would say even the point of sales integration too. If someone has that, they have to think about aspects of business in terms of what they're paying to even have that installed. And two, looking at competitors. Because a percentage of sales is going towards stuff, people will set stuff up, like even to some degree, with people promoting Pepsi or Coke. With Pepsi or Coke, most businesses, especially restaurants, they have basically a decision to make. With Pepsi or Coke, Coke go and start products and whatnot, and then I feel like that's the type of contract to a degree. After a period of time, people can flip flop between the two. I feel like that's cool. Another thing too, especially in business, I watched this guy. His name was Timepiece Gentleman, or whatnot. I guess he's kind of been going through it. I guess to a degree, especially with business. How's this dummy? What's the link to her being? No, you're not gonna do that. Piece of shit. Asshole. I'm at it. 11:60. We might play one more, man. One more for y'all. I'll watch. Well, I'll basically tell you what I think about Timepiece Gentleman. What he got going, situation he got going on. I feel like he in a bad spot. He's in a bad spot. I feel like he had a couple tough years. I mean, DUIs, this, that, and stuff. I mean, people got their issues, people got this, that, and the third. I'm not going to speak on that, but I feel like he got a good story, I guess, a comeback story. I mean, two-time felon. Yeah, I guess to an extent he's made some better choices, minus the DUIs. Not trying to be funny, I'm not laughing either, but if he could put down the drinking and put down the bad habits and the bad choices, go in the bars, I think he'd be fine. And focus on, I guess, personal wellness, like going to the gym, that's good. Kick the bar and the drinking to the curb. Focus. Well, I guess he's kind of got tired of the watch business too, because I guess he had people backstab him. And I mean, people troll him on the internet, so that's not good for his mental health. I feel like the only thing he can't do is control how certain stuff gets to him. Go outside, take social media breaks, block the trolls. I kinda think, but I mean, to an extent, he did. I liked his what was it called? South Rodeo vids. Him basically getting a truck and then making tough calls of business. But as far as what he did with like the actual business stuff, like going with $300,000 watches and going and spend frivolous amount of money at diners and establishments, that wasn't really cool. And people was getting robbed in Beverly Hills, and if you got expensive stuff, I mean, or jewels or watches and you flashing it, I mean, you basically asking someone to take it, and then it should be taken, but I mean, people are brazen these days. I mean, I'm glad he had a security guard, but I know his whole thing, he had a falling out with the people. And then people are basically going taking his legs from up under him in terms of I mean, it is what it is. If both parties weren't good to each other, I mean, it's possibly best to go their separate ways, or they didn't resolve the differences or whatnot. They got animosity towards each other that's not necessarily good. I guess there's other components, I guess, to the business that I guess people are thinking about. Like in terms of the watches, I mean, I watched a guy basically tear them apart. That's not necessarily funny. But he was basically saying that Anthony did not know, or the timepiece gentleman did not know the price of watches. And he was trusting what the people were saying, and he tried to make his percentage. And then he was buying cars and certain stuff. I feel like he was buying cars to kind of shake off, I guess, people's bad habits and treatment of them. I mean, if you're not happy or whatnot, no amount of money or anything is going to make you feel better. I mean, you might buy a little bit of temporary happiness, a little bit of certain stuff like that, but I mean, you got to go to therapy. That's what you got to do. This stuff is a little bit toys. I mean, once you get tired of a toy, you're going to keep getting the next couple toys. You got to be committed to at least getting better in your personal wellness, your personal journey. You definitely have to take accountability. You definitely have to think, assess, and basically retrain, and then evaluate your emotions, in my opinion. That's the most important part that I'm learning, and I'm just basically getting through things and just thinking and processing things through in terms of like business and otherwise. Like for instance with business too, especially like the way timepiece gentleman was doing the watches and certain stuff like that. I mean, he had a few outs. In terms of like, people would come to him. He was in a great position in terms of his watch business. But I think things are slim pickings nowadays, not only with his employees. I mean, he had a few bad business partnerships, and sometimes it needed to end. I don't think it 100% all the stuff was his fault, but he definitely had a huge component of, how can I put it this way? He had a huge component in, I guess, sales. So he did have sales experience with that. He knew, to a certain extent, the watch, what was the product. He had a product knowledge. He could change people's straps. The only thing he couldn't do is change, anything mechanical with like the watchmakers. He would hire people, basically do outsource the work. I had people come in. So he was in an advantageous component with that. That was a pretty nice component, I would say, with that. And he was in a great position. He was in a great position in terms of with the watches. Like, Peter Marco would come and basically ask him for watches. Could you source it? Let's say a Daytona, Eye of the Tiger Daytona. That came out in, 09? I mean, they keep on re-releasing it, but it's off catalog. VIP clients are going to get that. Like, Rancet's Rolex Pearl Master. That's a date just with different stones on there, like sapphires, diamonds, or rubies, or certain stuff like that. Or just certain stuff. It's not a B watch. You gotta know when certain stuff isn't you. It's not a you. Like in terms of a Pro Master, it came out in 1992. Yacht Master came out in 1992. The Daytona came out in 1963. Pretty much the references, people say the pre-Daytonas, 6239 to 6241. Those are the before Paul Newman. Then you got 6263 to 6264, the John Clear Special, $985,000. It's gold. And then 6265 came out in 87. That's the last Newman. reference year. They had multiple variations of it. I think it was like 79, 87. You got a few other ones I'm probably missing, but the last one, and then followed by the Newman Daytona. You had the 16520. You had the Zenith Daytonas. The Zenith Daytonas, I mean, they're not necessarily bad looking watches or whatnot. People were basically criticizing the Zenith Daytonas, and they were making them into, how can I put it this way? They were making it into a market where it wasn't, people basically liquidating on it, and now it's a hot commodity. I know this guy, I follow what he does on Instagram. It's just SD watches, nothing against them, this, that, and the third, like that. He has, I think, vintage or new old stock Daytona, Zenith Daytona. He probably bought it for like, or got it probably for cheap. He has to make his percentage. It's probably been sitting in a safe for a long time, or someone basically consigned it to him. I don't know the ins and outs of if it's even consigned. I don't necessarily speculate on it past that, but for the most part, he has a collection of watches, beautiful watches, this, that, and the third. But with the Daytona, he was basically asking $150,000 for that. And me personally, what I know, that watch is not worth $150,000. Paperwork, I mean, who owned it? Who's commanding the premium for that? If the Zenith Daytona back then, like 1988, cost around like, let's say around $5,000, and it went up to $38,000. I mean, I would say that's pretty solid. But again, nothing's an investment, and people are willing to part ways with it. That's a good win. Happy for him. In terms of actual watches and certain stuff like that, what is it? With the watch market being the way it is and how everything is, what can I say? It is very speculative, like, just like anything, like I said, it's speculative. And then too, people lose the track of the serial numbers. Like a S serial is 1994, 1995. A Z serial is 2006, dated on the Daytona. People have to know the reference year, where to find it. The old Rolexes, they have like 5 or 6 digits, and then that's supposed to tell you when it was actually made. That I do know, because I watched a lot of videos and watches, and I gotta know my stuff. And basically with those numbers, the alphabets, they basically come back with numbers, so you can tell when it was made. Like a 6263 from 1971 was probably made in the mid or late 70s. If it has box and paperwork and certain stuff can be verified, or archived papers, it can command a premium of like what, 80,000 to 200,000, depending on the condition, the how well the stuff. If it has original box papers, archive papers, and other stuff along with it. But the moment it doesn't have that, it cannot fetch those premiums at all. Cannot fetch those premiums. Now, the next component that I think about in terms of business and watches too, is everything is an investment. And if anybody were to suggest that, you know, a watch can fetch a premium and it doesn't have a box and papers, I mean, the average person should know about box and papers. I know someone said it doesn't matter. I mean, they're a watch collector. I watch their stuff, and And do I agree? No, I don't agree with what he said. Because, I mean, that's a little bit biased. I mean, he has the right to his opinion. But as far as getting to an end user, you can't try to go and make $7,000 off somebody. You just can't. Or charge them $10,000 just because they don't know. And typically when some watch or something like that doesn't have boxing papers, a person can be in a bad space in terms of authentication. Not saying the watch is fake, but you know, in order if you were trying to sell it, you have a bill of sale. Like, can someone produce a receipt? Not saying it's stolen, but it should come with a bill of sale. That's the most important part of a watch. Did it come with a bill of sale when you bought it and fetched the premium? You might take a loss, but you definitely want to make sure that junk is not stolen. I might play a few more games, at least to like 12, but I'm actually enjoying this conversation and talking about watches. So that is one of the best things I will say in terms of the watch game. Now I know someone said that the what is it? Patek. I'll give you my official thoughts on Patek. Patek is, I feel like, one of the greatest watchmakers because it will still have the original parts done. I definitely agree with that. If you're talking about known brands and brands that hold the value and still have the prestige, I would definitely say Patek is number one in terms of watchmakers, in my opinion. But that's not attainable luxury. It is and it isn't. Like, you're not going to be able to get a Patek. Like, a Patek that I want right now is the Aquanaut Travel Time. Green dial, chronograph, GMT. It's basically a diverse watch with a green strap. The green strap alone, uncut, is like $12,000. If someone buys a Aquanaut from Patek directly, they cut the strap to make sure that people won't sell it. And I mean, they have the right to do that. Me, would I ever sell my watches? The answer is no. I have a watch collection to stay in. I'm not willing to part ways with it. Not unless I have to in that instance, but for the most part, no. I'm not willing to part with it. It's an object, you know. I know people say that certain stuff is just an object, but to me, it's the story behind the object. Like, if you have like a watch like, you have a watch right now or something like that, you know, I'm not even saying, you know, like your dad or someone gave you a watch or something like that. It don't even have to necessarily be that. But like, if you had a watch that, you know, let's say a Mont Blanc. I'm not going to even crap with Mont Blanc. I mean, I feel like they make decent watches. Again, it's about price point. It's about attainable luxury. And what is attainable. But like, you know, a Mont Blanc, you know, after a thing, you know, you might have a budget of like, you know, let's say $6,000 or something like that. You got a Mont Blanc. You feel like you did it on them with that. That's a sentimental thing that you had, like a small accomplishment. I don't feel like you should sell that. Especially if that's your first watch or something like that, you shouldn't sell that. Like, you want to, go ahead. But you're not going to get the premium that you paid because they don't hold this value. And people should tell you that. it ain't always about the value too. I mean, same thing with Breitling. I know from my personal opinion, and everybody's has their opinion. Um, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Like I think my opinion is a little bit strong sometimes. You know, I should check it a little bit, but still, I should have the right to my opinion. Like I said, in the concern, as long as it's respectful. In terms of like with business too, like Mont Blanc is not necessarily going to be a what the hell, the fuck? That was a dumbass for that one. Dumbass. Honestly, games are so bad. You know, I think honestly too. I'm a little bit tough on games, but games and certain stuff are just bad. And for what it is for me, like especially playing Fortnite, do I think Fortnite is bad? Fortnite has its good moments, and Fortnite has its bad moments. If I had to do all of that, or I have to do a lot of stuff and thing to get a game or get a win, you really don't want to try at all. What's the point? And as far as like, you know, just the everyday thing too. Like, I know people talking about, like, I remember one time I had to tell somebody, like, for instance, what was it? Like, Apple Watch versus Fitbit. I said Apple Watch and Fitbit, they're not even on the same level. And that's not no grand statement. Apple Watch and Fitbit are not on the same level. That's not a grand statement. I think Fitbit is made for people who want to be active. They want to. Like, Fitbit is not going to go to the mall. They might have stores who strictly cater to Fitbit, but they're only catering to a certain demographic where Apple won't go. Like, for instance, the soccer moms or people who want to be active. They're busy catering towards stuff with the kids. But yeah, Apple Watch and Fitbit are not on the same level under any circumstance. Apple has their market, Fitbit has theirs. Like to me, I see more Fitbits at like Kohl's than I do at like at Target or certain stuff like that, because again, it's product placement. People are not going to go and spend money where they know they have a chance at a sale. They're going to go to where people want to value it and go and at least do some type of business with it. I don't know, people also said, like, you know, like for instance, there's a difference between a thing like, I was looking at a watch called Laurent Ferrier. They basically made a bootleg version of a Nautilus with a, how can I put, a Royal Oak flare with also a Bell and Ross type of symmetry case. If that is not indicative of a terrible thing of not being yourself and inauthenticity, I don't know what is. Because in all honesty speaking, you should not be going and designing, your research and design team should not be doing that. And by doing that and doing so, you know, you're basically giving you're basically not focusing on your strengths. You're focusing on trying to be someone else. And that's just not cool. In my opinion. That's just not being like authentic. The moment you do that and rip off someone else's concept, I mean, that's kind of a low blow. I know people are also talking about that Royal Oak flying concept tourbillon. That junk came out like what, $215,000. Do I think it's worth $215,000? No, I don't really think it's worth $215,000. But do I think it's a collectible? Sure. But honestly speaking, the way I view watches in a sense, yeah, there's some things I would get, I would entertain. But for the most part, I think I'll pass on certain things, like a concept. I wouldn't even want a concept of a watch, unless it's cool as a one-on-one. But even with that, you have to understand that a concept, a one-on-one, can't fetch the premium if no one knows what it is. Like, I watch this guy, I like his content, Mark Gebauer. He makes cool videos and certain stuff like that, but he had a RM. He had the paperwork, the prototype. He was thinking that it was going to produce a premium of like $300,000, but he went to auction. RM didn't even go there. And basically, because most time when places need an auction house, when they go to watches, the company is going to sometimes put the stuff out there to build the hype. Even the company, they won't say it who actually owns the lot. It might be the company. And they might promote it and see what the item will fetch. Like AP has this new ceramic tourbillon that's out. I don't think it's hot. Honestly speaking, I don't think it's hot. People are saying it's going to reach up to $1 million. I wouldn't even care if it was $3. It's just not me. I'm not being disrespectful, but it's just not me. When you tell me that a ceramic AP, white ceramic at a tourbillon, the ceramic APs, all of them are not a hit. Like the perpetual calendar I do like. But the actual tourbillon, no. I was done with that. It won't work for the turb. Yeah. Man, this shit is terrible. He's about to be dead, man. Oh my god. What time is it? Got time for one more, y'all. Got time for one more. I know people probably say that's overly disrespectful to say that I wouldn't care $3, but to me, I just don't see the premium for it. I can't lie to myself to be like, this is cool, by saying something is could fetch $1 million for what? That's not me hating on it. It cannot command the premium of $1 million. Even though it's the name, even though it's the stuff, it cannot do that. And why can it not do that? Because if it's doing that, other stuff will eventually, and again, someone's going to lose like a Patek. The 5711 Tiffany dial, there's nothing special about that watch other than the complication it has. And it's very simple. It's just date. Why would you be paying $6.6 million for something that costs Patek $50,000? I'm not hating on Patek. I like Patek again, but the money went to charity. These are something good. These are helping somebody, relatively speaking. But at the same time, that right there, in my opinion, is how can I put it this way? Again, I think a lot of stuff's coming to a point where, in a traditional sense, it's not going to go any further than people allow it. Like, for instance, if a watch is, let's say, $17,000, and it has, I guess, some type of thing. I basically, how can I put it this way? I can basically tell you what I'm about to say. There's a company that's basically doing the same thing called a Venti. I don't like the watches like that. I think they're very knockoff of AP and other brands, and it is true. But for a tourbillon and ceramic, they're the people to go to in terms of price point. AP basically $1 million for the white ceramic. No, I just can't do it. I just don't see the premium. And if the one is going to charity, something that is going to charity, but as a watch, no. Wow. I actually feel good. I actually feel better. For once in a change, I actually feel better. I still got work to do, but I feel better. But I'm getting the stuff off my chest. It's on my mind at the moment. Yeah, I just don't see a lot of stuff fetching the premium. And again, with these companies, these auction houses, I got nothing against the auction houses. Stuff has to sell. Now, as far as how much the stuff will sell, we don't know. Like, if someone said that, let's say, let's see. Like, for instance, Grubel Forsey, they're my favorite independent watch brand. They make a nice watch. This, that, and the third. They only make like 1,000 watches a year. You know, for certain pieces, they only make 50, 56. And there's a watch I want, but it's way out of a price range. Way out of the price range. $400,000, and that will never happen. Because it's a toy. I don't doubt that probably cost them people a lot of money, and there's various components and research and design. But at the same time, as a tourbillon, it has GMT, it's a world timer, It's definitely, I feel like, what else does that feature? Features a globe. You can basically tell whether or not, if one side of the world is light and the other side of the world is dark, like Finland and Denmark and all these places, and Iceland, they probably have 23 hours, or what is it? I think it's Iceland, yeah. They have like 23 hours of just straight sun, and only like it does never really get dark there. And so, for instance, people really can't see the sun like that. That's one thing they do. And for places like that, people have seasonal depression or whatnot. They have to take medicine, or they have to get some type of light. There we go. Some type of light. Now, as far as like business and components and certain stuff like that, and places, let's see. Let's see, business component and places. 2. We'll kind of back it up a minute. Dang, I lost my train of thought that quick. I had a good point that I was about to make. But yeah, I know certain demographics and places, they don't necessarily get that much sunlight. They don't really have, they have the things going on like Iceland and stuff like that. It might be cold, but they have a huge amount of natural springs you can go to. They can go there and enjoy. They can go out there and do this, that, and the third. Now, as far as like, business wise and how things go, I think places have to be at least, places have their attractions for sure. Like I watched this guy named Nico. Nico's a troll. I think he's a funny troll. Some stuff he says is disrespectful. But I feel he gets carried away. Like Hublot. I agree with him about Hublot though. Hublot is not a good watch, and again, I would say Hublot is great for pre-owned, but you should not pay more than $4,600 for a Hublot. Like a classic Fusion is like $8,000, but pre-owned it's like $4,600. Now, if I had $4,600 or something like that, and I just wanted a watch or something like that, I would consider getting a Hublot. But past that, I like the Hublot with the green, the classic Fusion. But I think it's like a chronograph or whatnot, so it's not that bad. But again, it's about price point. Now, as far as anything else with business-wise or for business sake, for lack of better words, some stuff is not good for people to buy. Some stuff is not bad for people to buy. You should buy what's catered to you and catered to your personal style and aesthetic, than to always believe what other people say. Yeah. What time is it? Hope you guys enjoyed, because I'm out. I've been